So first and foremost, how y'all boys been? It's been a few minutes.
I've been blessed. Just going through the grind and emotion. That's all we can do.
Solid, hanging in there, enjoying this time off.
I know, man. Ain't no, you know what it is. No rest for the wicked, boy. We gotta.
Amen. Amen.
we are the grinding right now.
But tell us about your trip. You came back alive, clearly.
No, trip was cool. Like I said,
how many times were you pulled over?
None, thankfully. None, nada. I didn't get yanked over. Nah. No, the roadie was cool. So the kid, my son's doing good, of course. Pulled up, make sure he was Gucci.
Except for the Mazda.
Yeah, I don't care about the Mazda. I just clowned about the Mazda. It's what here. It's what here.
Boy,
I just be clouding about the Mazda.
Early today.
No, it's cool. I just be clouding about the Mazda. I ain't really tripping. I don't care. I'm actually happy that he got a new whip. I'm actually that my daughter actually socked away some money because she's been working, doing different jobs and stuff, and she's been socking away money just so she could get her own car, which is a good thing because it's not like she had her hand out like, Mom, I need some, Dad, I need some. She's like, yo, I've been working, I've been saving my money, this is what I wanted to do, I want to get a car. She got herself a car.
You raised your kids right.
Yeah, and that, that's just a testament of them being, responsible and stuff, and I'm happy about that.
That's good.
And so did that. What did I do? Oh, did I tell y'all I pulled up on the Soulja Boy Bow Wow concert?
How was that?
They were getting live. Oh, they were getting so live. That's probably one of the fun. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been to a lot of concerts, and that's probably one of the funnest concerts I've been to.
Oh, tell me, did you see any big girls?
Yes. Oh my God.
You had to start.
Man, let me tell you something.
Was it just as bad?
Oh my God, let me tell you something. No, don't get me wrong. No, I'm gonna tell you the difference. Sorry. I know this is off topic. Sorry for the people watching long. Y'all just have to rock with me for like 5 seconds. Off topic, but kind of on topic in a minute. These fools. Okay, we in San Diego. I'm gonna tell you right now, San Diego. It is different in San Diego than pulling up in most places. See, in LA, how LA used to be is how San Diego is now. San Diego now is like 85% of the people is fit. And I mean, they like slim, they looking good, all that stuff.
Well dressed.
All dressed to see. Now keep in mind, we're in SeaWorld because for people who don't know, SeaWorld's been doing a concert series once every week. There's been different artists every week. They started off with Baby Bash was one week, the Yin Yang Tins was there, Soulja Boy Bow Wow's a concert I've been to. Fat Joe was there. Waka Flocka was there last week. This week is gonna be Naughty by Nature, Color Me Bad, all them. They gonna pull up this week. I will be outside for that, so I will get y'all footage for that. Of course, I am pulling up on Saturday to go see that right after work. I'm going from work to San Diego to go see that. Go do some real work, and then I'll be in a box Sunday morning. So, but I will be outside for that. But be it as it may. Back to this big girl conversation. So everybody looking all fit, right? But there's like about the wildebeest collection. Boy, matter of fact, no. I mean, it's one thing to have like the orca show. So people who don't know what orcas is, they're basically like killer whales. So you had killer whale show, and then you had the killer. Then you had the female version of the killer whale show. Man, it was like these big old 350 easy walking through. This girl was sitting front and center. I'm gonna tell you how bad this goes. What song came on? It was what did Soulja Boy do that he did that? No. Oh, they were doing it was Bow Wow. Oh, they think they like me, and they were doing the whole. This girl had her butt shaking, big old wide load too, right in the middle of the thing. It was so bad, Bow Wow had to stop and say, I didn't think this is what we was doing out here in San Diego. Because she was like, cause she on the rail, right? Hugging the rail, throwing that butt all the way back. All you see is wide load. I was like,
Poor rail.
Oh, that's what I said. I didn't want. Now, keep in mind, I want y'all to understand. Rail, water. There's no in between. So, like Bow Wow and Soulja Boy. Look on my TikTok page. I have a couple of videos of it.
Boy,
where
she fell in. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
If she would have fell in.
That's what I was saying.
They would have had to stop the whole concert.
Oh, that's what I was saying. I was like, dude, she was doing too much shaking. I'm like, man, if that pole crashes on and she flies in that water, I'm dying.
Chase one dolphin and pop up like,
my God.
start laughing.
She would have been the whole Shamu show, boy.
Wow. He said Shamu show.
She would have been the Shamu show. Let me stop. I gotta stop doing that.
But
I gotta stop.
You gotta give them to them though, even though
No, but
they like to show out. And
but
stuff like
no,
that.
but I'm gonna tell you what. That crowd, for it to be a diverse crowd, this wasn't like it was just like all black folk, all minority. It was everybody out there, and that whole crowd, from left to right, even the people who couldn't even see the show, they were out in the picnic area rocking. It was off by where they have their stage is by the water. So the concert is literally by the water. If you had like a little boat or a Sea-Doos, which a lot of people did, they pulled up their boats and Sea-Doos on the side just so they could rock with this concert. It was crazy. Everybody was rocking. Everybody was dancing. Everybody was doing the whole Soulja Boy up in it. You know, they were trying to Superman everything.
Soulja Boy.
They were trying to Superman everything there. But it was cool though. It was like one of the best concerts smoking though. But yeah.
That's good.
Anyway, besides that, y'all ready to go? Y'all ready to get some work done?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get into it. We already pregame. We already got the mics checks, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. PVC Podcast Crew. We back at it. It's been a privilege and an honor to do this, of course. I got my boys with me, like always. We ain't outside, we inside today. But before we get too far ahead of each other, let's go ahead and introduce my boys to the conversation. Like we do at this time. Paul.
Throw your hands up in the sky.
Say what's up to the people,
That was
family.
good. I like that. Good morning, everybody. Back at it with my boys here, sitting at the table again. We got some interesting topics to talk about, but besides that, like Cam always said, it's God above all, and we all got to be blessed and everything like that. So much love and respect to everybody at this morning. So I'm gonna pass it on to my boy Vic. Vic, say what's up to the people.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be back here with another episode of the PVC Podcast Crew. Today we're going to be talking about some recent events, very recent for some of you, depending when this comes out. We're going to be talking about 2 celebrities who passed away, along with other things that are happening right now, and we do hope that you find some value and enjoyment in it all. But before we continue, I have to pass over Cam.
Oh, back to me, huh? Cam, a.k.a. Nerd Boy Fresh.
Freaky.
Follow me on the gram and all that good stuff. You know how we get down. Before we get too far along in the conversation, first and foremost, shout out to all 125 of our subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, 126? We got 126 of them subscribers? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we had one added into the mix. Shout out to all 126 subscribers. We appreciate each and every one of you. And for all the people who are just watching and crossing, like my man always says, you don't have to like the page.
To like the page.
Like the page.
We gotta get that on the shirt.
Oh no, that's going. That's going.
That was
that's
good.
going.
Yeah.
You don't have to like the page, but we definitely appreciate you give us the time to kind of, sit down, have a little conversation with the congregation, of course. We got a lot of things working before we get too far away as well. Shout out to our affiliates, of course. Shout out to World Heat Entertainment. We're going to be outside recording for Hilltop Brawl 3 in about a week and some change. We'll be outside for that. 30 Joe, we're going to see you in about a week as well. He got his project. I don't want to get too much details in that, but that's going to be up and popping, so we're recording that next week as well. We got a lot of things working. Also, before we get too far away, I got a little something. I want y'all to take a look at that. That is the logo with the official cup and everything like that. So, if y'all like your little coffee in the morning, we got something for y'all. So if y'all want to be in support of the PVC Podcast Crew, we definitely would appreciate y'all if y'all did. We're going to be selling this size cup with the logo, with our names on it, the God Above Everything cup. That's going to be going for $20 if y'all want to get the bigger size cup. If y'all want the smaller size cup, which is an 11-ounce cup, same design, same everything. It's just a little bit smaller. Those are going to be going for $15. So if y'all would like to get involved with that, reach out to any one of us or just send us a message on the YouTube page or whatnot, or hit us on our social medias. We'll make sure we get a cup out to you. We are going to be giving one of these away, of course. So one, we will give away to one of our viewers. We definitely want to be in support. So anytime we do something new like this, we want to send one out to one of you. So we'll let y'all know next week how y'all can get a chance to win one. But if y'all want to support the page, definitely support us in our little cup adventures. We got a couple of different styles we're going to be working out. But this is the first one with the PVC logo on it, with our names on it. I will probably, the one we will give away, it will probably be a signed one, so y'all will see us actually sign it next week, and we'll actually give that away pretty soon.
And for $100, Paul will deliver to you anywhere in the nation.
Facts. We will airmail him and get it to you. But yeah, we got. So this is the.
Well, you better have a bigger box.
But
Paulie not included.
But we definitely appreciate y'all supporting. So we definitely have the cups going out, of course. We are going to be working on some shirts and some other stuff down the line as well. So we out here. We working. I got a story. We're going to start off with this story first, and we're going to talk about some of the other stuff. But here's a story that just popped down the pipeline. Here's the warning. Be super mindful of the circle that you keep. Be mindful of the circle that you keep. So the story that just popped down last night was, so shout out to Gilbert Arenas. He was busted having a backyard card game. You know, acting like he's at the Commerce Casino, right? So he had this backyard little card game that he was having at his house. So he had people at the house. He acting like he at the casino. He had the tables. He had like dealers. He had like massage people coming in. It was so bad that he had girls was like, dude, if you want one of these girls to keep you company for the night, you could just sit up here. You could just keep company with one of these girls after we take your money. It was pretty bad. But the crazy thing about it was the feds apparently raided him and basically shut down the whole operation, and also found out that some of the people who he may have been dealing with could have been like Israeli mob bosses and stuff like that. No, it's serious. Yeah. Because like I said, when the feds get involved, I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't let this Diddy stuff fool you. When the feds get involved, 9 times out of 10, they got you kind of dead to rights. Now, you can fight them. You could get maybe the Diddy treatment and maybe slide out and maybe get a lesser charge, but they got you on something. No. But when the feds come get you, don't get me wrong. When the feds come get you, they got something. It's just a matter of how much time you're going to do or how much money you're going to have to come off of. They got you on something. The feds don't pull up with just some nobodies. Now, the reason why I said you got to be mindful of your circle is because you wouldn't have known that he was doing this at all. There was no, that's just not a conversation. You don't have a conversation like, oh, this dude's gambling and having this little backyard party and having this little casino room where the girls are there and all these dudes, they're playing for like, you know, everybody coming in with 50K, 75K and everything. I know people. When I used to live in Vegas, I knew people who had card games. I used to play card games out here on a smaller scale. I know that if you keep it quiet, don't nobody know nothing. The only reason why I even knew about the card games that we had out here is just because one of my boys was like involved and he was like, yo, Cam, you want to come in and play some cards? We playing for this amount, you want to come in? Cool. I got a couple of thousand. Y'all pull up, whatever. This is back in the day. This was back when I was like 20 plus years ago. This ain't now.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified for that.
Hey, it ain't now. But I understand what that looks like. But nobody would have known about it unless we told them. Nobody knew about Gilbert Arenas having this. The only way this got out to even the feds even thinking about knowing this is because somebody had to open their mouth.
Here's my theory.
Here's his theory.
Because when I heard the story, First of all, I was cracking up laughing. Second of all, I wouldn't expect somebody like him to, well,
that ain't true.
I take that back.
This is exactly what I expected.
I take that back.
him.
I expected somebody, but not to let it get out like that. So here's my theory: if he was running an illegal gambling thing at his house,
still legal.
Still legal. Either somebody got upset because either they lost their money,
Of course.
or they didn't get a fair play. There's my theory. Now, be as it may, when you get other ethnics involved, things can always go sideways. So, on a perspective point, if you're going to do something like this illegal, you need to have everything under control. Meaning is, you need to have eyes on everything. You can't not let certain things get out for people to start talking about it, because that's what happens.
Okay.
Gossip goes around anywhere. So when that came out, I was like, man, dog probably lost all his money. They probably got his house locked down. He's sitting up in the cell with the feds, Fed pen. He comfortable because you're in the feds. Trust me, my uncle told me a lot of stories about being in the feds. It's difference between when you lock down in the feds and the actual regular jail.
Like county, I know.
And stuff like that. But be as it may, actions comes with consequences. So if you're not watching your surroundings, things can go sideways.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So we've all seen Goodfellas.
Yeah. I was just thinking of that.
No, but see, this is what I'm saying. He's trying to act like he gonna act like this is like a movie, you've seen the movie Rounders, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like
movie.
that.
Good movie though.
Kind of like Rounders. Keep going.
So it's like, yeah. So we've all seen Goodfellas and stuff like that, right? Where, granted, that was Vegas, but the casino angle,
same
gambling, it's all the same madness, right? Where it's just people doing things they're not supposed to. Granted, it's like, well, he was in the privacy of his own home. Well, murders take place in homes. That doesn't make it
That's
fine.
A fact. That's a fact.
Location doesn't really matter dependent upon activity. And obviously, since he was... It always... When feds are involved, there's a rat. All right? I mean, typically that's how it is. I mean, I find it really hard to believe that feds typically find things out purely on their own.
Right.
Typically, they get an inside angle, also known as a rat. Right now, whether they put that rat there or the rat came to them, I can't say.
I guarantee you the rat came to them.
No, real quick.
Somebody bit the cheese.
Yeah.
Before I continue, calling them a rat.
They're not really a rat.
That's what I'm saying. I say that because that's what people understand easiest. Granted, I don't really agree with doing anything that is so heinously illegal, like gambling and prostitution, wherever it may be. But doesn't make it fine in Vegas either. But
true.
What I am saying is that obviously this was somebody scorned. I really doubt it was because they grew a conscience.
Mm-hmm.
Something may have happened. They most likely lost something, whether it be money, chips, or even worse, their woman.
All of the above. All of the above. You right. I know you right. You right. I'm gonna tell you how the story probably went.
So it's most likely it's a scorched earth scenario where it's like, if I lose everything, you too, you will as well.
Exactly.
Which is why it never really makes sense to me to do all this stuff, because no matter in the end, A, you'll get caught, B, someone gets the shaft, and C, it only ends in fire.
That's true. Hold on, because I got something to say, not to cut anybody off. Because I can see how this turnaround, this breakdown went, how the raid went. They probably was sitting at the table smoking some cigars. Remember on the movie Life when they was at the casino and they broke in. Party over.
No, I got one better.
See, they were hoping it was like Friday after next. Put down the barbecue.
No, I got.
Put all the girls in my car.
Have y'all seen the movie? So here's the best reference I can get to. Have y'all seen the movie Boiler Room?
Yeah.
You with Giovanni Ribisi, Nia Long, and all them. So part of the premise of Boiler Room was this boy ran a backyard card game, right? And he ran a backyard blackjack table, and he used to have a couple of tables going on. And then ultimately, the way that it got out is because kids were in there and they were playing and stuff. And ultimately, it got out. Because ultimately, when you have these things and they're going on long enough and everything is going good, ultimately, it's going to get out. if you kept everything under wraps, like if we had a card game just with us three, and then we invited one more person in just to have a 4-way poker game or whatever it may be, and we're playing and we're playing and we're playing. At some point, somebody's gonna say something about that card game, or better yet, we playing dominoes for money, right? Shout out to my dog Michael, cause I still owe you a butt whooping for some cash. Don't you worry. This had nothing to do with that. I'm still gonna take your money.
That's dominology right there.
But if we was having that domino game every week, and we were playing $1,000 a hand every week, and somebody was getting their money took every week, at some point somebody's gonna say, "Dang, Cam did rack me for like $10,000. So it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out." Or here's the other thing that could have happened. So remember, there's dealers that were there. There's food people who was catering that's there. There's the girls who are paid to keep these guys companions that's there. Here's the other thing. I'm gonna tell you how simple this could have been. So there probably was like 6, 8 girls around the table, right? One of the guys probably feeling one of the girls. One of the girls wasn't really feeling him. You know, the Jada Parker types. And then she slid around and went to one of the dudes who went around and hung out with Gilbert Arenas, and the other dude was like, "Well, I kind of like your girl, but she ain't really feeling me." And that stuff gets out. Because when you do something illegal, people can hold it as leverage over it. Somebody may have lost like $30,000, $50,000, $70,000. I ain't paying the money. Oh, you gonna pay the money. I ain't paying the money. You gonna pay the money.
Imagine it was just $20.
Yeah, that would be funny. But
it's all happened over $20.
Yeah, that would be funny.
I've seen
stuff like that go down.
I've seen people, man.
Especially shooting dice.
It's the principle of the thing. It's the principality.
Give me my money. I lost. I mean, come on.
You what?
I lost. Come on now. We've all seen it. We've all seen it. Come on.
But
now.
that
I use that as an example because even that got out.
Roll the dice.
I'm making light of it because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a serious thing, and the littlest of things get out. You're not gonna have. If you had one card game and did it one time, nobody would know the wiser. But when you have it consistently and somebody's been losing and getting their butt kicked at the table, and then somebody figures out that, they may be cheating or whatever it may be.
Flush.
They're gonna cheat and be like, "Dude, I'm gonna get my money." And you know how people do. Just because these people got money, that doesn't mean that the hood rules aren't in effect. Meaning that no. I'm telling you, they had security guarding the money, so obviously they're guarding the people with the bread.
I ain't shooting shit. What you gonna do? You gonna get this kid out of here, and I'm gonna roll these dice again.
Right. You know, y'all saw Menace to Society. I use these references. Menace to Society when the pops shot the dude over some money. Yeah, it's simple stuff.
Since you got out the joint, about time you give me my money. I told you you ain't got your money yet. What you mean you ain't got my money yet? Everybody know where you got that money stashed from that robbery.
I use that because here's the problem.
I like how you brought that up with them because that is a perfect example.
No, because
how things can go left quick.
How it goes left.
Especially in hood terms.
And then when you see
shout out to Samuel Jackson.
Then when you see people trying to imitate the stuff. See, what got Gilbert caught up is that you tried to imitate all this stuff that you see. Oh, I want to make it real cushy for all the people coming in. I want to have people catered in. Now, here's the thing. If he just says, "Yo, it was just me and the fellas and we were just playing cards," yeah. But who are you playing cards with? If these dudes are really Israeli gangs and foreign people who are basically under the federal eye anyway, and you're playing cards with them, that's bad. That alone will get you. This is why I said, be mindful of the company that you keep, because if you know you're dealing with the thugs on the block, even though you may be doing something legal and it may be fine and y'all chilling, but you know that dude is under federal watch for something else that may be unrelated to you, and you still kicking it with them,
well, I mean,
guess what? You're caught by association.
Well, the best way to put it, listen, if the only reason you ever come together with a certain group of people is through or for vice, that's pretty bad.
But that's how these people pull up.
Because that's how it. Well, of course it is. You know, they, like moths to a flame. They all gather together. But like I said, it only ends in fire for them.
Right.
You know, and I mean that's the damn shame because a lot of people don't really have. People who tend to be subjugated, they enslaved, if you will, to whether it be gambling, alcoholism, lust,
whatever it is.
You know, whatever it may be. You know, where it's all tied together, especially in the casino, or whatever he was doing, where you could pretty much get everything.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I guarantee you, none of these people cared about anyone else. Right. They were there for simply one reason, and that was basically to lose themselves, or to lose their money,
or to win said money. It was a very selfish act for us.
Well, my point being is that a lot of groups aren't really groups. In the sense of, you know, they're not really clicked together, they're just kind of stuck together, which is the difference.
Yep.
One is out of necessity, the other is choice.
Right.
You know, and these people are only associated purely because, well, they simply have the same sin taste, right? Which is, again, that's pretty tragic.
Greed.
You
Greed
know.
and money and power.
And this is, I mean, obviously this is nothing new. It's not the most heinous thing we've heard.
No.
Right? You know, it's not like, I mean, truth be told, Diddy was worse. Not by much, but I would say he was worse. You know, but my point being is that you see the same group of people in the same things. It's like lifting up a rock and seeing the bugs scatter. You know, it's like that. They hide in dark places.
Right.
You know.
I agree.
Is he retired, right?
So yeah, Gilbert Arenas was retired from basketball per se, but Gilbert Arenas, if y'all seen his podcast, Gil's Arena, his podcast is one of the most popping podcasts out right now. Like for real. No play around, no cap. This is
so
nothing.
Here's the question.
There's nothing against that.
What do you think they're gonna do to him?
So here's where they are in the process. I know he pled not guilty. I know that his lawyers could probably get him off and say, look, this was just a card game amongst boys, provided that there's no illegal transaction. But see, the thing is about California in particular, like, I think it's illegal to have, like, illegal card games like that, where, you know, there's big transactions of cash, all that stuff. I think it's illegal for that, if I'm not mistaken. So
he probably just going to have to pay a big fine.
He's either going to have to pay a fine, or he is going to do a little bit of time. Not a bunch, but enough. But I think more of the conversation piece wasn't necessarily because he was the one facilitating this. It was the other people who he had involved.
Oh.
When you have basically gangsters at your table, probably gangsters at security.
Oh, I didn't think about that. You were all right.
No, I'm just going. Come on. I mean,
keep it real. Yeah.
You probably got gangsters. You know, and I'm
heavy
not saying
hitters,
and gangsters is not just the hood, just not the California hood things that y'all think of. Gangsters are still like mob bosses. That's still gangsters. They're just a different version of it.
Cartels.
I don't care if it was cartel, Yakuza, Israeli. All of it's the same thing. If they're classified as such, and that's the people that's sitting at your table, ultimately they're going to get eyes on you at one way or another, because they may be after them for something completely unrelated. But then they find out you're doing something illegal. Guess what? You're implicated in something bigger than what it's supposed to be.
You know, like you were saying, you have to be very careful who you really associate yourself with, because a shared table is a shared fate.
Yep.
Right. It's something everyone really should reflect on who you really associate yourself with, even on a work basis. I'm not saying you should isolate yourself or something like that, but it is important to really know who you consider a friend or even an acquaintance.
Right.
Because when things inevitably happen, or worse, when they go down, you'll be tied to it one way or another.
Right.
Now, obviously, I would never advocate for isolation. You know, I would never say stay away from people, stuff like that. That's a objectively terrible way to live. But you just have to be careful with who you know. and more importantly, who knows you.
Right.
You know, especially when it comes to activity. You know, whatever it be, whether you be traveling or whatnot, because the last thing you want is to be on a road trip with a few of your boys, right? And he gets and your boy gets pulled over, and it turns out he's wanted for assault in the city over.
Right.
And now you're tied up with it.
Right. And now y'all all sitting on the curb for nothing.
Been in that situation.
No, I'm just saying, but no, that's real. Because you got to remember, the point that I was trying to make is, you got to be real mindful of the people who you're around. Because ultimately, like I always said from the jump, they are a reflection of you, and you are a reflection of them. That's why you can have a lot of acquaintances, but the people who you have at your table, the people who you really tight with.
You got ones?
Yeah, you got ones. Y'all got anything y'all need to know right now, y'all tell me up front. But the reason why I say that is because it's important.
It's nothing to joke around about.
No, because it's real. Because
things can happen.
Because you got to remember, this works both ways. You know, ball players hang out with ball players. Thugs hang out with thugs. Christians typically hang out with Christians. I'm just giving you an example. You typically hang out with the people who you closely associate with.
Yeah.
You know, gay and lesbian hang out with gay and lesbian. This is what it is. I'm just being honest with you. But you have to, for who you are and what you stand for, you better associate the people who is closely aligned to what you are.
That's a fact.
Because the problem is that if that's not who you really are, and you still in that mix,
well,
you're going to get caught up by association.
Well, to use the analogy, you know, birds of the feather flock together.
Yep.
Right. You know, it looks strange when you got a group of doves and there's a raven in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, one while with them is not of them.
Yep.
You know, and there are a lot of groups like that. You know, where I'm not saying groups shouldn't be diversified. That's not what I'm saying. But typically, morally speaking, and morality and ability is what should be lined up with your friends. Right. I would say that's one of the most important things to have lined up with those who you would consider close. I mean, because the Bible does talk about the fact. Now, granted, this is from the believer's perspective, not just for for the secular, but it talks about not being unequally yoked with people. Because ultimately, I mean, as much as people like to think this, when it comes to the terms,
not to cut you off. What's the name? That's Matthew.
No.
Is that a Revelation?
It's
unequally yoked. It's a New Testament.
It's a New Testament. It's basically, and it's a phrase. I'll have to look it up, but it's a phrase that they were used in. It's used in two different contexts. People would normally use the unequally yoked in context of a relationship.
Oh, okay.
But it also this principle
good.
also applies to friendships as well. That's what people didn't understand.
Yeah. Now, what I am saying, because people like to imagine that I can pull people up, but the truth is it's far easier for you to be pulled down. Right? That's why it's like the worst thing you can ever hear is when someone gets into a relationship to fix someone.
Mm-hmm.
No, you won't fix them. They'll break you.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that's how it is with a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't attempt to help people, but you should never assume that you have the upper hand or the leverage.
Correct.
Because it's far easier to destroy than to build. It's easier to corrupt than to purify. You know, it's supremely difficult to work on oneself. Therefore, if you're going to work on yourself and another, you're going to be doomed to failure. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying it's an undertaking that very few can actually pull off. And I bring this up because you got people who are hanging out with people thinking that they're going to influence that group, but they're getting influenced by them. And before they know it, then they're not the same person. Most likely they're worse off. You know, like we were just talking about, you have to be very, very sure who you associate with and who you really know.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you leave yourself open, that's not vulnerability. That's basically a kill shot, right? You have a rib cage for a reason. What I mean is you're meant to guard yourself. You know, people say that, you know, Christianity is very narrow-minded. Yeah, it's a narrow gate.
Right.
It's narrow for a reason.
Right.
You know, broad and open is not the way to go. You know, it's a terrible way to do things because when you let everything in, nothing really, it's sludge.
Right.
You know, and the same thing with people. There's nothing wrong with being selective of who you call a friend, who you call an acquaintance. If anything, I encourage it. Be selective, be guarded, be careful, be cautious, be all these things because we live in a day and age where people just say, well, let it go. Just let it run. You know, have no guard, have no standing, have no walls, stuff like that. I mean, for instance, there are people who believe in open borders and stuff like that. You know, a nation without borders is no nation with all. The same thing, like a mind and heart without guards is open for corruption.
Correct.
You know, it's very important to guard yourself and to guard who you are, because if you don't guard it, then, well, you're going to be a victim your whole life.
True.
You know, it's very, very important. Everything, always put everything through for my words, I would say put it through a biblical lens, because that's the only way to really look at things in life. Objectively speaking, that's the only correct way to do it.
Put it through a biblical strainer.
You know, you got to put it through the biblical strainer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
get out the impurities and get the real stuff out of there.
Well, yeah, once you start shifting through things, you see what's left and what's right.
Yep.
You know, that's how it is with pretty much literally everything in life. It's not easy, but it's worthwhile. And, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I know we're going off a little bit of a tangent here. It's not really the most coherent right now, but I just I talk about these things because they are important. We live in a day and age where people are encouraged to kind of just be open, right? Like, you know, be open to new experiences, be open-minded, be open this, be open that. No, it's very good to be guarded, not shut off, not closed out, but guarded. You know, I'm not closed-minded, but I'm not open-minded. I'm narrow-minded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very narrow-minded, and you hear that as a bad thing, when I would say it's literally the opposite. You know, because when you're narrow-minded, you have a focal point.
Right.
You know.
That's true.
That is true.
Very true. All right. Let's talk about this. Because I know we didn't get a chance to talk about this during the time that it happened, because we had to take a few days off. But I want to address this real quick, because I guess it's a good, important thing.
What?
What was your thoughts on Hulk Hogan passing? Because everybody is kind of all over the board when it comes to this.
Well, aren't some saying like he was killed?
No, Hulk Hogan wasn't killed. He had a surgery that kind of went bad.
Well, it was a medical mishap.
It was medical complications.
I don't think
it wasn't purpose. It wasn't deliberate. Nobody was trying to chase after this dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't no Illuminati. Stop all this extra stuff.
I am nearly positive it wasn't malpractice.
No, it wasn't malpractice either. It was just when you gotta remember, he put his body through a lot. Neck surgeries, all that stuff. You're going to have complications. You want to avoid those you want to try to minimize those complications at all costs. But at some point, when you keep having the constant surgeries like he's had, and he's had a bunch of them. You gotta remember, he's a wrestler. He put his body through a lot. At some
during
point,
the peak of wrestling,
you gotta remember, it's just a matter of at some point, you're going to have complications. But everybody's all over the spectrum when it comes to Hogan for a multitude of reasons. But I'm gonna let y'all get what y'all perspective is of Hogan in its entirety, because it's a lot when it comes to Hogan.
You want me to go first?
You could go. It doesn't matter who goes.
Okay. For me, because I'm in the wrestling community, and I used to train in pro wrestling when I used to go to pro wrestling school.
If you don't speak up.
I used to train in pro wrestling back in the days. I went to a pro wrestling school, so I'm affiliated with all the pro wrestling scene stuff. Here's me. People forget about the nature of things when it comes to the actual character versus actual person. Now, be as it may, Hulk Hogan did a lot for the wrestling community, whether people thought it was for the good or whether people thought it was for the bad. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, wrestling would not be where it is today.
Say it again for the kids in the back.
If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, pro wrestling would not be here where it is today. The reason why I say that, because the 80s was different to what it is now. And back in those days, they only depended on one scenario guy. Now, I'm not taking away from all the other pro wrestlers. They put their bodies on the line, they made their names and themselves, and all the sacrificing they did. But Hulk Hogan put a stamp on the foundation of what pro wrestling is today. That's what most people forget about.
Okay.
Now, sad to say, we lost a true American hero. I know for a fact that he was going through some medical complications. He just 6 years ago he just had a big shot put in his back for his spine, the cortisone shot, and he had worn and tears just like the next person, like every other pro wrestler have. You're gonna get bumps, you're gonna get bruises, you're gonna have broken ligaments, biceps and stuff like that, but people forget about the pro wrestler. They only thinking about the other side of Hulk Hogan. Did he make enemies? Sure. It's pro wrestling. You're gonna make enemies and you're gonna make money. Shout out for Triple H. He said he made that quote very clear. But people still playing this scenario of him being racist. Now, I don't point fingers at anybody. I can't say, I didn't, nobody physically seen it. They just hear it on social media and stuff like that.
He said it.
He said stuff.
We ain't gonna sugarcoat that part.
He said it. He
said some very outlandish racist stuff, and I will address some of that a little bit.
Yeah. But, okay, he said some racist stuff. Okay, fair enough. But now that he's gone, certain people still don't, they don't care about it. Like some people happy he's dead. Okay, fair enough. That's your true belief. But for what he has done, now there's a whole lot of politics in pro wrestling. That I can tell. People, we don't know what happens behind the backstage and the scenes.
That's getting shown pretty recently.
But that's getting all that stuff started. See, things come out when people die. But you gotta remember the doors he opened for a lot of these wrestlers today, and the stamp he put on it. It was a guy who slammed Andre the Giant. People forget about Andre the Giant, health issues and stuff, the wear and tear and stuff like that. So you gotta remember. He's Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
And rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Thoughts before I land in? I got some stuff. But go ahead.
Well, I didn't really grow up watching Hulk Hogan. I was born in 1998, and around the beginning of the millennium, with the new millennium, wrestling wasn't as popular as it was during his prime. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, it was still very popular, and I'm not saying it was falling off.
Wait, you was in the Hollywood Hogan age. Go ahead, keep going.
I mean, as Paul was saying, he's had a huge impact, not on just wrestling, but in terms of just entertainment in general. Sadly nowadays, a lot of people don't really remember what he's done. He's kind of unfortunately fallen to the wayside in a lot of people's minds. And like you were saying, he did say some stuff, some pretty, excuse me, I got a burp.
Let it out.
Anyway, he did say some things that were not good, right? But then again, a lot of people in that career really have. I mean, till this day still. So it's kind of hard to say, well, he did something so terrible. Granted, every day online people are saying things that are so horrific. I don't think, while fame amplifies punishment, it shouldn't really deteriorate everything else he's done.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people are really not hung up on that anymore. Like I said, it's not like he's been in the spotlight for a long time. He kind of just went into retirement and lived his life. Granted, with health complications due to his work. Real quick, do you think he juiced?
Of course.
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure during that time the answer was yes.
I'm not saying.
I'm not
saying that as a how dare he, and we're not saying that he did.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying with 100% certainty, but if you took the era of wrestling during the 80s and 90s, before this stuff was like really tested for, and because of his size and all that stuff, I would venture. I mean, I'm not saying that he did with 100% certainty, but I would venture to say yes, considering the climate at the time.
Oh, I bring this up, because that's another contributor to, I would say, his health problems that he had in this age, where, his body was just kind of really failing him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, everyone's going to go through some form of body failure. It's guaranteed to happen with age, but especially for those who either take care of themselves, who don't take care of themselves, or who put their body through extreme physical abuse, it's going to be a rough sunset years, as we saw with him. And it's unfortunate that was the price for his fame and his fortune, was that basically a really rough last few years. I don't know if he was taking pain meds or whatnot, but I have a feeling he probably was. Not guaranteed. No, don't quote me on that. But I bring this up to think on the fact that it's a shame that everyone now is talking about how great Hulk Hogan was after he died, where when he was alive, nobody was really giving him any run. No one was saying anything. No one cared about.
That's the point I want to go to.
Hold on. Let me go off a little bit.
Go. That's what I want to address.
Nobody cared about Hulk Hogan until he died, and that is a damn shame. No one showed him any love. Where was all this when he was alive? Why is his value suddenly increased after he's dead?
Especially the night in Raw when they booed him.
No, that's why I'm gonna go there. I mean, let me get them. Go ahead.
Because it's very dishonest and even disgusting when you have people out there who are like, Hulk Hogan was the greatest and all this. He was my this and that, and it's just like, okay, well, where was this when he was alive a few days ago?
Correct.
Because it doesn't matter now. He's dead and gone. It's easy to say all this because you don't got to back it up with anything.
Right.
He's gone. And I think the worst part is that they're saying all this stuff to make themselves look good. To make themselves look, empathetic or humble or whatever. It's basically promoting one's image. It's not genuine remorse or genuine care or even genuine love. A lot of it's just lip service, and it's to make themselves look like they care when they don't. And to me, that's a special kind of sin where you use the death of someone to basically better your own appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Why, where was this care? Where was this love? Where was this, where was this attitude when he was alive? It's insane to think, and not just for Hulk Hogan. This goes for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. This goes practically for everybody, right? Nobody cares until you die.
That's a fact.
And that is the worst thing to ever really believe, to subscribe yourself to, is to not care until they're gone. Is to not care until they're dead. Because if you only care when they're dead, you never cared at all. You probably don't even feel remorse or regret. You just probably feel like, oh, gee, that sucks. What's on TV?
No, here's the thing. You touched on a point, and I'm gonna start right where your point left off. Was it about 5 months ago, give or take? 6 roughly, 5-6 months ago. Hulk Hogan, surprise appearance on Raw, gets completely booed. Not semi-booed. Not semi-booed. I mean, he came out with Jimmy Hart, and they played the OG theme song, not the Hollywood Hogan one, the real one.
I'm a real American.
And got completely booed. Booed. Now you talking about semi-booed. So his last impression of wrestling, for all that man has done, is for him to be on that stage and get booed. Now, I understand certain people's sentiment, and we're going to address that at this point. People have to separate the entertainment aspect from the real dude.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan, the entertainer, is everything that people would be portrayed to be. Yes, without Hulk Hogan, the entertainer, wrestling is not where it is. Without Hulk Hogan, the entertainer, other wrestlers don't get a chance to be in movies. Because guess who was the first wrestler to be in movies first? You alright? Who was the first wrestler to be in movies? That was Hogan. Hogan was the first to be in a movie. It wasn't Andre Giant, wasn't Bruno San Martino, wasn't him. It was Hogan. He was the first face to hit a movie. Even though the movies may have been trash. What was he on? Was it Rocky? I forgot what it was. He was in one of them joints.
Rocky 3,
he was in a lot of joints
Three
early
Ninjas
on.
Kick Back.
Yeah, he was in a lot of joints early on. Movies were trash, but he was on them. And he was recognizable.
The Suburban Commander?
Yeah, something like that. But he was there. He set the table for what wrestling is at this juncture. For that, you can respect that aspect.
Yeah.
Now, real person Hogan, from what we learned from Hogan Knows Best and his reality show and all this stuff, this is the same dude in real time who told his daughter, I don't want you to date these black men. I ain't gonna say what he actually said, because he did say it in,
He didn't say it nice.
No, because he was real firm on that. No, so he was that too, the real person. So I understand people's sentiment when it comes to Hogan. There's Hogan the entertainer, there's Hogan the person. So which one do you latch on to? Do you latch on to Hulk Hogan the entertainer who opened up the doors and gave people the opportunity to do what they do today, including the minorities that he hated? Or do you latch on to Hogan, the one who was basically overtly racist? Now, I say that because when you see Hogan as how he was portrayed, he's in the conversation of like your Taylor Swifts, your...
Elaborate on that statement.
Your Carrie Underwoods, your... For lack of a better term, for even in this sentiment, Donald Trump. What do I mean? Middle America rock with him. People on the East didn't necessarily rock with him like that. People on the West didn't really rock with him like that. But everybody in the Midwest who is basically Caucasian or alike rock with Hogan because they shared his actual sentiment. They loved the fact when he was portrayed as a character, he was America's hero. What made him popular? I'm a real American. That's the song, right?
Yep.
What was his claim to fame when he was wrestling? The two matches that he did was against who? Iron Sheik, when he beat Iron Sheik.
Madison Square Garden, 1983.
And then the big slam against Andre the Giant. Think about that.
WrestleMania 3.
Iron Sheik is basically portrayed as U.S. versus Iran. Y'all may be too young for this, but this is I'm old enough for this one. I was born 75. I'm 50 years old. I was born for this. U.S. versus Iran was how this was built. I mean, I know they didn't try to like make this up, but it's really that's how it was built.
No,
and it was a whole thing of this was the
real.
This was a subliminal political type statement that was being made even during that time.
Yep.
The thing about Andre the Giant was, no matter how big the circumstances, this dude who was smaller, who was an American, can take over the world. That's how he was built. People ate that up, loved it. This boy had cereals. This dude had commercials, the merch, the Hulkamania merch, the old school Hulkamania merch with the red with the yellow writing on it, with the little foo-fooey things on the side. The whole Hulkamania headbags. You know how much like Middle America rock with that. Even the black people who didn't know that he was racist was rocking that stuff. People loved Hogan until they figured out that when he was really behind closed doors, the real person that he was, it wasn't so much. Well, people who rocked with him, who was sitting up there at Santa Monica when he used to sit there and lift weights, didn't really rock with him like that. They kind of figured out who the real person was. He put on a show.
It's the same. It's the same thing always. Where can you separate art from the artist, right? And Hulk Hogan was a character.
Yes.
Right. He was a character, versus just Hogan.
Yeah.
Right. Who was a person. Right. I think we can actually draw a bit of a contrast here with Kanye West. Right?
I'll give you one. I'll give you one better, and I'll let you get your point. What's Hulk Hogan's real first name?
Terry.
Most people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't even know who his real name is. They only know him as Hulk. They don't know him as Terry. Go ahead, keep going. Keep going with your real name. Keep going with your Conway now. I want to hear this.
But anyway, okay, so Terry versus Hulk, right?
Yep.
Hulk was a character beloved by America, America's hero. Terry was just a person who played Hulk, right? Same thing I would say is very similar with Kanye, where they like Kanye's music, right? Before he went off the deep end and he went off the rails, right? People still listen to his music, right? Even though if they severely disliked him personally, they'll still listen to his older stuff. I think it's very important to be able to separate art from artist. You can appreciate something somebody made while not agreeing or even liking the person who made it.
Right.
I think that is, that's a practice of discernment, if you will, where you're able to separate things and not just take it as a whole.
That's a fact.
And as like I said, I think in the minds of many still, Hulk Hogan, the character, not Terry, Hulk Hogan, the actual character, is going to be some form of iconic for the rest of the wrestling history, right? Because that was his character. The character's iconic, but the man himself,
it's probably infamous.
He fell to the wayside. It's just the actor and the character. It's the same thing, or like situations where an actor will play a really nice person in a movie or TV show, but in real life they're very mean or callous or acidic.
Or the opposite. Some people are very mean on TV and be the coolest dude. Who's that? Who's that?
House.
No. Old boys from Hell's Kitchen.
Gordon Ramsay.
Oh,
Gordon Ramsay. I met Gordon Ramsay in real life. People look on TV like, dog, he's mean, he a butthole, he all this stuff. I met that dude in person, and he's probably one of the nicest people you'll meet. Facts. Keep going on.
I bring this all up because, I am sad. Unfortunately, I'm sure there are some people who took satisfaction in the Hulk passing, or in Terry Hogan's passing, because they're still clinging on to something he said and did that became public so long ago, and I don't know what he was like, up until his death. I don't know what he was doing in his final years, in his sunset years. I don't know. Did he change? Was he the same? Did he get worse? Did he get better? I don't know, and none of us will ever know. But it's not for us to know, and it's not for us to celebrate the passing of a person.
Right.
If the celebration is because we didn't agree with what he said or what he did. I think death, no matter the person, should always be mourned, whether it's for somebody who's terrible or somebody who's great. Because death is something that's coming for us all.
Right.
And I think to celebrate death is very disgusting, because death, if anything, is a reminder of how wrong everything is. Anyone who says death is natural and it's part of the natural order is wrong. Death is not natural. Death is just evidence of how wrong everything's gotten. We were not made to die. We were not made to experience pain or misery or illness, but we experience it because we're fallen beings in a fallen, dying world. And those who normalize death and even celebrate death are trying to delude you to the fact that something is very wrong here. Everything's very wrong. Everything's fundamentally broken, fallen, like I just said. Death is not natural. Death is not what you should be afraid of, though. Death, what comes after death, is what you should be worried about. Because there is something after death. It's called judgment. And everyone's going to get judged. Granted, there's going to be two categories of people. Those who will be judged for their deeds and those who will be judged for their sins. That sounds similar, but it's not. Because those judged for their deeds will not be judged for their sins because they put their faith in Christ. Their sins are forgiven. They are no longer carried, but they will be judged for how they spent their time on this earth. Not to get into heaven, they're getting in because of Christ and nothing else.
Right.
You cannot work your way into heaven. You can only work yourself into a deeper hell. However, those who will be judged for their sins will be judged accordingly and thrown into the fire. I talk about this because death is a reminder of, A, our lives are like fleeting wind, smoke in the wind, gone like that. We will die before we know it. Not even of old age. No one knows what their last day is. And 2, death is not something to be okay with or normalized or enjoyed or anything like that. It should shock you and remind you of the fact that we are all going to die.
Yep.
You should always ask yourself, why do we die and what happens after? I think these are things people should really think on. Do not distract yourself from the reality we live in, because that's how you're still going to die whether you distract yourself or not. The ostrich dies whether he buries himself in the sand or not.
Facts.
Just because your head in the sand doesn't stop the axe.
Right.
Do not distract yourself. You should really think and ponder these things, and then go to the Bible and find out why this is all happening. It's all there, from the New Testament to the Old Testament, from Genesis to Revelation.
Yep.
It lays it out plainly and truly before you on why everything that's happening, even right now, with the wars, with the disasters, the tsunami, the earthquakes, why this is all happening. It's in the Bible. Why? The Bible is not the Da Vinci Code. You don't have to do codes and try to figure things out. It's laid out from start to finish. The Bible was written for you to understand, not for you to decode. It's laid out plainly so that anyone who can read may understand, and any who are willing to believe may be saved. I say all this, again, apologize for derailing a little bit, but I just say all this because this is very important. This is very, very important. Why do we die? Where do we go after? The Bible holds all the answers. Everything else will point to some form of religion or material, right? Now, I'll explain what I mean by that real quick. Well, isn't Christianity a religion? No, Christianity is life. Religion is just a form of practice. And I'll tell you right now, religion never saved anybody, right? Because if religion could save, then Christ died for nothing. So, again, the Bible holds everything you're looking for. If you're unwilling to read it, then that's at your own paramount. That's at your own predicament, your own death, really. None of us here can force you. We can only plead with you to do it.
Amen.
At the end of the day, you are responsible for your own actions, and that is something that should terrify you.
Right, and that's the point I wanted to get to. You made a good point. Parallels. So what do? Do we take Hogan, the entertainer aspect, and be like, oh, he was the greatest ever and all this stuff? Or do we take Terry Hogan, the one who was living a regular-ish life, who just so happened to make a lot of mistakes? Which one is it?
The hero or the man?
Right. So I always say you got to remember it's a melding of both. So I'm not the one who's going to be like, who's not going to respect the things that he's done. I respect that. I'm going to respect the fact of all the doors that he opened, what he did for wrestling, what he was as an entertainer. I'm also of the understanding of what he did as a regular person with the racist stuff and how he handled his family, which wasn't the greatest, which goes into why Brooke Hogan said, I don't even want to be in the will, because that's how she still feels a way about what happened.
I don't even think she's going to the funeral.
No, I mean, she'll pull up, but I think she feels a way about it. But ultimately, you got to understand that even with all that being said, I'm never going to be the person to be like, well, he was this in real life, so F him, like a lot of people who are in the black community are saying. No, I'm not saying that. That's way too extreme. We've all made mistakes. We've all done something that is terrible, not just to yourself, but to other people in the eyes of God. So you cannot be like that. You cannot take that approach and be like, well, F him, he was racist, and I ain't gonna rock with him. Nah, you gotta be like, hey, that's who he was. Ultimately, hopefully he got right with God. Let it rock. You gotta just let that part pass.
To put it simply, listen. The simple truth is, if you are to ever condemn someone because of their actions, make sure to throw yourself into hell first.
Right. Because we've all done something. We've all done it. So don't act like you're special just because you didn't do exactly what he did.
Now, what I did say does not mean that person should not face consequences.
Yes.
I did not say that.
We didn't say that either.
We're not saying that they shouldn't face consequences. However, mercy and forgiveness does not exclude or remove justice and punishment.
Correct.
You can be merciful and you can be forgiving, and there should still be justice and punishment.
Absolutely.
And it should be according. But flat out condemnation without mercy and forgiveness, in and of itself, is sin.
Yep, it's bad in itself. Mm-hmm.
You know, you should never excuse sinful actions or wrong actions, but you must, if you follow Christ, you must forgive. Not saying it's easy, not saying it's done in one day, but you forgive. Because if you've been forgiven, you should want to be forgiving as well. Right? That goes for anyone, from your family to your enemies, especially your enemies.
Right. Enemies.
You know,
lots of enemies.
so many people are so vindictive nowadays. They almost act like they experienced Terry Hogan himself, like he was racist to them personally.
Right.
Right. Again, this doesn't excuse what he did, but it shouldn't completely wipe away everything he's done.
Correct.
Like you said, it's a mix of the whole thing. You must acknowledge everything. If you only acknowledge the good, then you're foolish. If you only acknowledge the bad, you're still foolish.
Yeah.
You have to look at the whole picture. Whatever that picture may be, beautiful or ugly or somewhere in between, you have to look at the whole thing. It's not a pizza. You can't just start carving it up and take a slice here and there and call it whole.
No.
It's the whole thing or nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pizza. I mean, yeah, you could pick off a pepperoni, but you ain't really eating the pizza, are you? Come on now. You said it right. You said it dead right. You can pick off a pepperoni, but the pepperoni ain't the pizza. It ain't the whole thing. It's not complete. You're just taking off one aspect of it. You're dead right.
But see, here's my thing. Wise, celebrity wise, you've seen other celebrities get caught up in the same thing as well as
we'll go through that really quick. So let's just take just this week in general, or this past week in general. Hogan, Ozzy, Malcolm Jamal Warner, the lead singer from Atlantic Stars.
That hit me.
No, I'm just giving you examples of how that hits like spectrums. Now it's crazy that when people talk about Malcolm Jamal Warner, it's the complete opposite conversation. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Oh, he was beloved. He was my high school crush. He was all this stuff. Girls coming out the woodworks for him now, right?
But they wasn't rough.
Now.
Yeah, now they come out the woodworks. So I was like, you do know that this man was married, kids, and he was out there on vacation chilling. He just so happened everybody thinking some sort of conspiracy theory like, oh, the Illuminati was coming after him. Man, forget all that. He was in a rip current, and anybody who's been in beach water, who's got hit by a rip current, when it drags you back, it is not much you could do. It's because those waves hit so strong. There's nothing you can do. You could try to, people try to jump in and try to save him and all that stuff, but you got to understand that's why they tell you when there's rip currents, they don't even want you near that ocean water. When we were having tsunamis the last couple of days, that tsunami watch and whatnot, and them waves were kind of hitting, nobody was going to be in that water. Why? Because one little rip current, and you're just like Malcolm Jamal Warner. But I say that to say this. Yeah, I say that to say this. Y'all don't know all the ins and out aspects of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, we do know that he was living a relatively low life, not low life, but a low profile life. Meaning that he wasn't on social media like stunting for everybody. He wasn't like all in everybody's face with a reality show and all that stuff. He was doing regular stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, people don't even know that he was still on a regular TV show even before he passed. He was still making regular money, doing regular stuff. Y'all just didn't know it.
And I didn't even know he was actually doing a band.
Yes.
That kind of really was interesting. He was doing positive, interesting stuff. And people only see, once again, the character. They don't see the person out of the character.
That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. People want to try to judge the character, what he played as an actor, not the person. And I'm not saying that he is he was so better than Hogan. No. they both lost their life.
Exactly.
They both went through stuff. They both lives wasn't perfect. What I'm telling you is that just because it looked better on the outside looking in on Malcolm's life, that doesn't mean that it was so much better than Hogan's life.
I mean, look at Ozzy.
Same thing.
He knew he was sick and stuff, and he still performed. Which, shout out! I heard it was that last concert he did was off the roof. Dirty Joe was there. He was telling me like, man, that was good. But even
people would say about Ozzy, well, you know how Ozzy got down. Yes, we do know how Ozzy got down. We do know a lot of the stuff was like really out there. Yes,
hell of a drug.
Again, we do know that stuff, but we don't know. Here's what we don't know. You don't know if he was trying to get his life right with God before everything was said and done, because he very well could have. Exactly. We're not on his day-to-day. We don't know what his life was like. He could have been, I went through all this stuff, I did all this bad stuff. The last couple of years, I'm finally trying to get right. I'm trying to get right with my kids, trying to get right with, with his ex and stuff. He was trying to get right with God. We don't know that.
To put it this way, listen, nobody can ever know the condition of someone else's soul.
Right.
Never. You will not know the condition of your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, your wife, whatever it may be. You'll never know the condition or the situation of their soul before God. You're not meant to know it.
Right.
You're meant to be faithful, and the only one you can know of for certain is your own. Right? So that is why you can never say with absolute certainty whether someone is condemned or salvation, because you don't know. Now, granted, the way they lived, how things happened, can point strongly to one destination over the other. But at the end of the day, you don't know where they went.
Right.
Exactly.
And you cannot say with authority or with fact where they went. But you can say with certainty that everyone else will be experiencing one or the other.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I want people to understand. Y'all don't know. Just because y'all see it from the outside looking in, that doesn't mean that y'all know exactly what their day-to-day is. There's only a handful of people who know what their day-to-day looks like.
God above all.
And that's why I wanted y'all to understand. That's why I kind of want to address it. And I want to address it in different ways, because when we talk about Hogan and Ozzy, you get one perspective. You talk about old boy from Atlantic Star and Malcolm Jamal Warner, you get the completely opposite conversation.
Lost a lot of celebrities.
No, what I'm saying is that there is a mix of both. And you don't really know, because all you know is what social media tells you, not what really is. Now, certain things are self-inflicted. Like with Hogan, I think some of that stuff was self-inflicted, like with Ozzy. But even you don't know what Malcolm Jamal Warner went through. I know he struggled with stuff. You don't know what old boy from Atlantic Star went through. I knew he had drug problems early on and stuff, and he shook that stuff. But people just want to assume just because they want it to be a certain way.
People thrive on draminess.
That's the thing.
People thrive on draminess.
People want the drama and the story. And like Vic said earlier, people want to make themselves look better. Well, I'm so much better than him because I wasn't this. Nah, but you got stuff that you're doing too.
Here's the thing about life.
You're not better than somebody.
Here's the thing. Comparison, no matter what, is folly. Because you're never going to get what you want out of comparison, and it's never genuine. If you compare yourself to someone who's worse than you, then you're pumping yourself up with false pride. If you compare yourself with someone who's better than you, then you're bringing yourself down over anything. Comparison is folly, right? Never compare yourself to other people, because at the end of the day, you're not them and they're not you. And you'll never be them and they'll never be you. Whether they're better than you or not, and whether it's something mental, physical, or spiritual, that's not important. Comparison should never be a motivator. The only motivator should be is improvement. You want to simply improve, and that's the only thing that should simply be the focus. Because when you compare yourself, you either get, like I said, false pride, or you get disencouraged, right? Bad way to do things. Never puff yourself up by comparing yourself to those who are obviously worse off than you, right? Or never make yourself miserable by comparing yourself to those who are perceivably well off.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Right. It's just, it's all folly. It's vanity. It's pure vanity.
Mm-hmm.
To practice comparison. The only thing you should ever really compare is I would say the quality of products, but that's about it. Not yourself. You don't use comparison with people. You use comparison with objects, basically. For instance, compare our mug to the mug you could find at Walmart.
That's a fact.
Talk that mug talk. Show it close. Show it close for the kids in the back. So
now, comparing this mug to a mug that you could find anywhere else, you see, the problem is that mug won't have PVC on it.
Facts.
And two, it won't be.
Talk that PVC.
It won't.
Talk that Paul, Vic, and Cam talk.
You know, it won't be kissed by Paul personally.
They ain't saying all that. I ain't saying all that.
Right. You know, that's what I mean by comparison with objects. That's the only way to really use comparison. Compare stuff, not people.
That's a fact.
I got one more.
I'm not kissing.
Right on the handle.
Kiss the handle.
I will say, I love the interior on that. You discovered, I'm rocking with this. I like this, Cam.
No, I would love to do it. Or,
you want my picture inside that cup?
No, so I was thinking, you see, because right now the cup's empty. And I was thinking we put a picture of Paul's face right at the bottom of the cup, right?
Oh, my God.
Right? So that way when you drink your coffee, you can see his eyes poking over.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do it.
Have him doing like something like this.
I promise you, chat. Not going to do it.
It's the pretty eyes.
Right.
I can't help
Now, then thinking about it now, right? Now we put Cam on the bottom, so we lift it up.
Nope,
you see him doing this. He does this.
Nope.
Right.
I ain't doing it.
And then to slim it down, I'll be on the handle.
Wow.
Oh, I ain't doing it. Oh,
the handle part I can see.
Oh, that's too funny. Anyway, one more story before we get up out of here, because we got to address this real quick, because this kind of happened. So, y'all know next week Long Beach Jazz Festival. If you're in California, Long Beach, California, they're having a jazz festival next week actually. Not this weekend, but next weekend in Long Beach, right by the water.
Oh, okay.
By the aquarium.
Now, speaking of jazz festivals, about a week ago, the jazz festival was in Cincinnati. So what happened was,
I love that phrase.
So what had happened was, people were coming out to concert. People with too much liquor, all that stuff was going on. And there was this white couple who was basically, I guess, talking crazy from what everybody said. And then all of a sudden, that crazy talk turned into a fight. And that fight turned into a husband and wife. The white couple was a husband and wife. And them literally getting jumped by a multitude of black people. 5 of which currently are arrested because of this. Now, there's always one side, the other side, and the truth, right? One side is saying that, it was just the black people, they were just being belligerent, they just jumped these white people at this concert, that's what it was. That's how they're trying to portray it on the news, right? Mm-hmm. There's the other half who was saying that the white couple was drunk. They were saying some things that they wasn't supposed to be saying, like some racially motivated stuff, and they were instigating a fight. That's another aspect of it. I tend to find that between both sides of the story, there's something that's in between those two.
There's always something between stories like that.
Because it has to be something in between because...
Well, forgive the phrasing, but it's never black and white.
Right, right. It's never as simple as a fight's just going to happen just because of race. Because I'm going to tell you why.
They all should have went to jail.
No. Yeah, that's part of it. If that was the case, everybody should have gone to jail.
It's always the brothers.
Think about this. You're in a venue, a jazz festival. Anybody who's been to any concert venue knows that it's going to be very much diverse no matter who the artist is. I told y'all at the top of the show when I was at the Soulja Boy concert, and I'm going to tell you Soulja Boy and Bow Wow. Ooh, I think they like me. Oh, I think they like me.
Soulja Boy.
Let me stop.
But what I mean by that is the racist dynamic was so diverse in that concert. I went to so many concerts and it's been more diverse than anything else. It could have been the most hip hopest of concerts. It could have been it was diverse. What I mean by that is, you mean to tell me that this white couple in the mix of all these people was just singled out, just getting jumped, just random? No. You can't tell me that it's just like somebody just going to just haul off and just meet them from the back of the head just because they're white. But that's how they're portraying it. I just want you to understand how they're trying to tell you, like, well, they just got jumped because they were white. No. Let's be real. Something had to have happened in conversation or otherwise where a fight occurred. Now, the manner in which the fight happened is where I probably have a little bit of a problem. Because the problem is that you didn't need to be stomping them. You know, if you get into a fight, it's one-on-one, it's one thing. But you don't need to be stomping them out.
When don't be a menace on them?
Yeah, you don't need to be stomping them out. You don't need, the other thing is you don't need to be laying hands. If you're a dude and you're smacking up a female, you don't need to be hitting no female either. Let's start there. You know, there's if there has to be a fight, y'all shouldn't be fighting, but if there has to be a fight, there is rules to engagement. Meaning that, you know, if it's gonna be a fight, hey, one-on-one. Let's just handle it. You shoot a fair one.
Okay, well, wait a minute, real quick. Do you guys remember when that one dude, I think it was a security guy or whatever, they were at the docks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he threw up his hat and
Yes.
it became a brawl.
Yeah. Yes, because they were trying to jump old boy. That's a little bit different. They were trying to jump the boat guy, and the boy threw the hat up, and he was like, "Yo, the hat is a distress signal when you're in boating world. Like when a hat goes up, that means that I need help because these people are going to, in essence, jump me. It's going to be a fight." And so what happened was people were responsive and they jumped in and helped them because it was basically the similar situation, just in reverse. Now it's funny that when that was happening, all the black people was like, "Yeah, he came to his defense and all this stuff, rah. Now, when it happens in reverse, and it's this white couple, and they jump, basically, in essence, what it looks like, they just jumped them. Now, the black people's like, well, they deserve to be jumped. I don't know if they deserve to be jumped. I just think that if he was mouthing off and y'all decided to square up, you know, one person could handle one dude, right?
That's a fact.
I don't think it takes like 20 of y'all or 10 of y'all to jump one person, especially a husband and wife combo where that female's in the mix, right? So it's been 5 dudes who's been going to jail. You mean to tell me that these dudes was hitting on this female? That's what it sounds like to me.
Well,
Is that what we doing? Y'all hitting females now no matter what, and even though they mouthing off? I can see if a female was in the mix handling, like one female handled a female, one dude handled a dude. Y'all square up, y'all know y'all gotta take the shirt off, take the chain off, y'all do that.
Catch that fade?
You know, you catch a friendly one. There is rules to engagement. But the way that they're racially projecting the story is pretty bad. And I'm not saying what these boys did, like these boys that jumped these white couple was dead right, because they wasn't right. Because if you stomped them out and did all that stuff, you was just excessive.
Yeah.
I mean, having a fight, getting this dude to calm down, that's one thing. We've seen many people in the hood get knocked out for less.
Yeah, that's a fact.
But they just get dropped for one, and you keep it moving. All this trying to stomp out people and jump them, all that stuff. See, y'all taking that hood stuff way too far. Y'all acting like
some of those YNs, you know how those YNs.
Well,
yeah, I know, but see, it shouldn't even be like that.
Well, it just goes to show, it reinforces the fact that the hood isn't a place, it's a people.
Right. But see, the problem is that it shouldn't even be like that. Because see, what's going to happen is, because of something that happened way over there, guess what happens in Long Beach now? You know how locked down that security is going to be? You know how on edge everybody's going to be? They're going to be looking at each other, and everybody's going to be like, well, this person even flinches, I'm meeking them. You know, just stupid stuff for nothing. And let alone, they got the alcohol going. You know how that's going to go.
And you're in Long Beach.
And that's what I'm saying. And
you're in Long Beach.
And you literally a phone call away from something really going down. If something really pops off, it's a phone call, a whistle, in 10 minutes.
That's a fact.
I'm not trying to be funny here.
Remember when we was down there that day?
I've seen it happen. Something pop off.
We ain't even out the tunnel, and
we ain't
already
even out of the parking garage.
Out of the parking lot that day.
And they letting off. They're letting off in the apartment complex away from the parking lot. Letting off.
I forgot all about that too.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that
things can happen. Things can transpire quick.
It could transpire so fast. But the problem is, it shouldn't even be like that. You should be able to go to a concert and be able to enjoy the concert.
Exactly.
That was the one beautiful thing about being in San Diego. I could just sit there, hang out, enjoy the concert, and have fun. And go home. It's real simple. Same thing I'm doing this week. Wasn't nobody fighting. Wasn't nobody arguing over no seats. Yeah, you had a couple of ratchets out there. You had a couple of the...
Say, players, these 2 seats right here taken?
Oh, yeah, we had a bunch of that. All right. We had a bunch of that, but guess what? They were being respectful, though. They were like, yo, somebody sitting there? Yeah, somebody sitting there. All right, cool, appreciate you. Yeah, we had a couple of wildebeests come by, and a couple of people being disrespectful, trying to cross through the aisle, throw your butt in the face because they wanted to get some attention. We had a bunch of that. Like, get your wildebeest on. All right. But it wasn't no fight. It wasn't no, fist fight. And keep in mind, in SeaWorld, by the way, that's the one and only place where you can actually buy alcohol and drink alcohol on in their area. They sell it regular. They were so bad they were selling Jello shots and stuff. It was.
But their security is on tight.
Yeah. Their security is like lockdown. But here's the other thing. Nobody got out of control. There was no fights. Even though when people were trying to leave, people were all bunching like sardines because the security guard didn't know what they were doing. Everybody was cool. Everybody was being calm. No pushing, no nothing. Everybody was cool. But it should never get to the point where y'all have to fight. And definitely when it comes to this, everything does not have to be so black and white where it's racially motivated. That's the reason why I want to address it, because I just think that the way that the news outlets are portraying it versus what actually happened, I think it's kind of 2 different things. But I also know that I know how we are as a society now. It's like the littlest of things, and everybody want to get their little 2 minutes of fame. There was 100 people filming, and nobody trying to stop the fight. How many times have we heard that conversation? There's more people trying to film it and get it on TikTok and Instagram versus people trying to actually separate these people and get the fight to stop. That's the type of stuff that gets most people mad. Anyway. I want to get that story out the way real quick because I thought it was something that was important that we need to talk about. Besides that, it's about that time. Final thoughts.
Victor, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
And there was an earthquake, by the way, in Montana.
Right now?
About 10 minutes ago.
How big was it?
4 something.
Ooh.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the PVC Podcast Crew, and that
hit this way.
You feel some value from this content, that you get something out of it. We hope you didn't waste your time with us. Truly, we don't. And, well, we'd love to hear what you have to say, even if it is really just to talk smack. That's fine as well. Interaction is interaction for the algorithm, please. Always feel free to comment down below anything you feel like, even if it's just your grocery list for whatever reason. But yes, just as a quick cap off and reminder, your death is coming as it is for all. You don't know the date or time or how, but you should know what happens after. And on top of that, when dealing with people, you must, and I say you must deal with the whole person. You cannot do it piece by piece or pick one thing and just that one thing alone. You have to deal with the whole person, history, action, and all to be a fair assessment. And I know people don't like being fair. They want to be treated fair, but they don't want to be fair. But that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, Paul.
Luke 16, verse 13. The power of little things. Something I learned last Sunday when I was at church. The power of little things. I'm not going to go to the whole diversity on that, but that verse alone, the power of little things, was so touching right there. Because we all do forget about the little things. Try to get to the big things. Now, be as it may, we all going to go through diversity, ups and downs, smiles and cries. But that should not stop you from being a better person. Whether you done bad and you're trying to do good. But I will say this. just like Victor just described it, death is coming for all of us, whether we like it or not. Now, you shouldn't judge a person by what they done in the past life, because at the end of the day, we all done sinful things. We all made mistakes that we are not proud of, but be as it may, we're still human. And, a person's life should always be valued. So, from I'll just say this, rest in peace to all the celebrities we just lost. This year, we lost a lot of celebrities as we speak. But just take something for what I just said, the power of little things. You can find that in the Bible, Luke 16, chapter 13. Just let that sink in for you guys. And I hope everything you guys going through life, hope you can go for the greater the good.
Cam.
Y'all focusing on the wrong things, kids in the back. Y'all focusing on death. Shoot, y'all should be focusing on life. See, y'all worrying about like the death. Well, how does this person in death? No, worry about life. What's happening now? How are you making your life better? What steps are you taking to better yourself and the people that are around you? People are so worried about, well, this person died, this person died. Yes, that person did die, and a lot of these people lived a life, and to a lot of them, they lived a good life, for good, bad, or indifferent. They lived a good life. A lot of them lived to be 70 plus years old, which is a great thing. I just turned 50. Most people aren't made to get past 25, let alone get to 50.
Whew. You say that again, brother.
I'm not worried about death. I'm worried about life and life more abundant. Worried about my spiritual life in heaven when that time comes. But I'm not completely so locked in on that where it's like, no, I know that I have a job here where my life is valuable here, because if my life wasn't valuable here, I would not be here talking about it. The Lord have me here on purpose, with purpose. Just like he has you on this earth, on purpose, with purpose. The only reason why you're able to listen to this conversation now is because the Lord allowed it to be. Because there is a purpose and a plan that is still for your life. It is for you to have that conversation with God to figure out what that plan and purpose is and fulfill it. And then you'll start to understand that it's not just solely about you, but it's much bigger than you. Focus on life. Your life, the direction your life is taking. If it's taking the turn for the worse, what is it going to take to correct it and get it better? If you made a mistake, cool. It happens. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get punished for it, but that does also mean that you're going to get forgiven for it, and you're going to have a chance to learn from it, adjust from it, and move on and pursue bigger and better because of it. Lock in on life. If you lock in on the life that you're living and life that you have, and working on being a better person for yourself and be a better person for the small circle that you keep around you, you'll understand that as you grow, the team around you will grow too. Just that simple. Outside of that, like I said at the top of the programming, shout out to all 126 of our affiliates. We appreciate each and every one of you, of course. Shout out to our extended family, of course, World Heat Entertainment, Jason Lang, all them boys, Marco, we see you, of course. Dirty Joe, we'll see you in a few days, obviously. Shout out to each and every person who's been in support of us. And if you want to continue to support us, ask about the mugs. Y'all could catch it on our, you can ask us on the YouTube page, leave a comment, we'll get it to you. We'll have you direct message us. If you want to direct message us on our social media pages, Pivo on the Instagram and on the TikTok, of
share
course.
It later on today.
Yep. Nerd Boy Fresh. You catch me on all the social media platforms. You can just message me there. We'll definitely make sure we get those cups to you as soon as possible. If y'all definitely want to get them, like I said, we'll get y'all price points and everything. We will give out one pretty shortly here as well, because we want to reward at least one of the fans for being supportive of us, especially some of our day ones, of course. Outside of that, it's been a privilege and an honor to do this. from my man Paul, from my man Vic. My name is Cam, a.k.a. Mr. Nerd Boy Fresh.
Freaky.
Like always, it is God above everything. God above everything. Even though it's on the bottom. Till the next time, family, we will do this soon. And next time, family, we will do this again soon.
Much love and respect.
Salute.
Well, now we got to start over from the beginning.